Hello world and welcome to the Code and After Effects Extended Script series. In this tutorial I want to give you an overview of HTML and I also want to show you how to create text inside of your panel. Before we get into our HTML, I do want to explain that we are going to be learning 4 different languages for using the extension builder for ExtendScript. And those 4 languages is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and ExtendScript, of course. This might sound a little bit overwhelming, but believe me when I say this, it's not as bad as it sounds. HTML, CSS is going to be your markup language and it's going to be used for creating content and text. And you can't really get an error from there. It's very beginner friendly and it's way easier than learning a Sanskrit or JavaScript. Same with CSS, if I didn't say CSS already. JavaScript is a little bit harder, but if you know a Sanskrit, learning JavaScript is not that hard because a Sanskrit actually gets its syntax from JavaScript. So if you know a Sanskrit, JavaScript should be a piece of cake. There's a few differences here and there, but for the most part, once you know one, you know the other one very well. So with that out of the way, let's get into learning our HTML. In HTML, you're going to use tags to create content inside of your HTML. So the first tag we have up here is our HTML tag. And inside of your HTML tag, you're going to have anything that you want your HTML to have or your content basically. So anything you want to represent HTML is going to be inside your HTML tag, which is a little bit redundant, but that's the language. Your head tag is going to house all of your metadata or meta tags. Let me explain one thing before I forget. Most tags is going to have an opening tag and a closing tag. Our HTML has the same thing. So this is where our HTML tag opens and this is where it closed. And not all tags have an open and close tag. This meta tag doesn't have a closing tag, and you'll get an idea of the tags that needs it or which ones you don't have to use a tag for. This meta tag, what it does is, at least in this situation, that it allows us to bring in any type of text that we want. So we can bring in Western Latin text, we can bring in Eastern Asian text, we can bring in Arabic text, we can bring in anything and it will read it in our HTML. This link tag, it allows us to import our CSS. And more about what CSS does in another tutorial. And if we scroll down, we get to our body tag. And our body tag is where we're going to have our content and our text. And the script tag is going to allow us to import our JavaScript and ExtendScript. This is everything for the overview for HTML. These 4 tags right here are text tags. And these tags are used to format our text in different ways. And some tags do more than that, but the ones that I'm using right now are basically formatting our text in different ways. And I can give you a better look at what these tags are doing. So if I go inside of After Effects, go inside of Window, go inside of Marker Adder, and more about this name in the future tutorial, but you have an idea what this is going to be about. So I click on there, I open up my window, and as you can see, what we had in VS Code is now being displayed in our panel: header, paragraph, italic, and bold. Now, if you look at each of these texts, you notice that they're being formatted different. Header is a lot bigger. Paragraph is pretty much default without any type of formatting in it. Italic is giving our font a italic look, and bold is giving our font a bold look. But if you can't see it, I can make it a little bit bigger by going inside the body, typing in style, writing font size, and I'm going to make it 16 pixels. Save it. Go in here. exit out of this window by pushing Control W, go to Window, back to Extension, and Marker Adder. And you can see this a little bit better. As you can see, font size basically controls the size of our font. It didn't do it for header, and I explained the reason why in another tutorial, and the only reason I added the 16 pixel font size is for you can see this a little bit better. So now you can see the italic, uh, given given the font italic look and the bold, giving our font a bold look. If you want, you can use these tags, but I think that there's better tags you can use instead of H1, P, I, and B. And these tags that I'm going to introduce, they don't have the same amount of formatting that these tags have, so you can better control what they do instead of having to worry about using header tag to get a certain size or using italic to italicize your font. Using font size and the header not going the same size as the other text. So to kind of avoid that, we can use a div. I am a block. And what a div does is it's basically an empty tag that kind of works similar to a null object or a shape layer without any type of shape in it, or well, empty shape layer. And this span tag is going to allow us to make a text, but instead of making the text go to another row or another line, it's going to keep all of the text in one line. And I'm going to add one more div. Get rid of that. Oh yeah, anytime you make any changes, don't forget to save. And one more tip. If you forget what these tags actually does, if you're using VS Code, you can hover over the tags and VS Code will give you information on what these tags does, just in case you forget or you don't know what the tag does. So go inside my window, go to Market Adder, and we get I am a block, I am a block, I am a line, I am a line, and I am a block. So if you remember, I am a block are the div tabs that I created in VS Code. So what this div tag is doing is it's taking up a whole row. So anytime I add another tag or element to our HTML, it's going to push that element into another row or another line. So once we get down to our span tag, it's allowing us to add text inside of the same line, even though if we go back inside of our text editor, you can see the span is in two different lines. So that's really the main difference. The div tag is going to push whatever tag into a different row. Your spam tag is going to try its best to keep everything in the same row. But if I was to push this panel all the way to the word line, it's going to push the word line into another row. And that's only because this is going to allow us to be in the same line as long as this width doesn't extend past the panel width. So this line is bigger than the panel width, so it's going to push that line word into another row. So that's really basically it for divs and span. I get more into that in another tutorial, but for now, that's all you really need to know to kind of get you rolling. And there's three more tags I want to teach you, and that's the unordered tag mixed in with the list tabs. And what I'm writing right now is a shortcut to create more tabs quicker. And I'm going to use Control Alt to create multiple lines, and I'm just going to write in here, I am unordered. Click out of that, and I'm going to create an OL tag, greater than LI times 4, and Control Alt to create multiple lines again. I am ordered. Save it. Get out of here. Go to marker editor. And you can probably guess what the unordered and ordered list does, but it allows us to create a list. The unordered doesn't show us any type of sequence, while the order shows us a sequence using numbers. And that's basically it for the HTML tags. These are the HTML tags that you're going to probably use the most when using text. There's more HTML tags that are important, but I just wanted to get the text out of the way. And if you learned something and you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel. I got more videos on coding in After Effects, expressions, and ExtendScript. And till the next time, peace out, world.